use headphones for best experience. Thanks for your fantastic support. Hi, first I'd like to show you my last uploads on music streaming platforms such as Spotify and Apple Music and others. So here you can see ASMRctica, ASMR. By the way, 1094 monthly listeners on Spotify. Thank you so much for helping me reach that milestone. But yeah, here you can see the albums I have released so far. Quite a few of them now, and the latest ones are Pan American Highway, Climate Zones of the World, and now also Pajama Ramble 1, 2, 3. It's my 3 first Pajama Ramble videos, I mean the audio from those videos, which has been requested quite a lot, that I would include them here on audio platforms. So. And there will be more albums uploaded soon too, so check it out. These new albums if you haven't already. Hi, welcome to another video. Today I would like to draw a map, and it's going to be a map of Argentina, this country in South America, the very southern part of the continent, together with Chile. Chile to the west and Argentina to the east. Today I will draw Argentina. Very fascinating country. I have been reading a bit about it in research for this video, and I will focus a lot on nature, I think, because I find the nature, the climate and the biodiversity very fascinating, I must say. So I have this piece of paper here. I have prepared it. It's a white paper. I have prepared with some reddish and blue, some dark red and dark or regular blue ink. And first I'd like to draw like a sketch. I usually start with some kind of sketch before I move on to the markers. So a light sketch of just the shape of this country. get like the right angle here. If we start here from the very south, we'll think of a spine up to all the way up to Bolivia to the north. Here we have the neighboring countries: Bolivia, Paraguay, Brazil, Uruguay. I must say it's not a super easy shape. It's a bit of a challenge. Patagonia is actually a really big part of the country, but it's also quite narrow. Okay, let's start with some coast. So this is the terrestrial border, the Andes, Chile. But here to the east we have the coast, Atlantic coast. And I'll continue to draw the coast of the neighboring countries as well. Now let's see, I think I will go on with this color and then I'll start to draw the rivers in Argentina, because to me it looks like the rivers really play an important role in the geography and how the provinces are divided and such things, like borders follow the rivers quite a lot. So this is the Rio de la Plata, this bay here, and from here we have, ending up here is both the Uruguay River and the Paraná River. And here joins the Iguazu River from the east. And here from the north we have the Paraguay River. And from the northwest, all the way from the area around Sucre in Bolivia, in Altiplano, I guess, we have the Pilcomayo River. It's also the border between Argentina and Paraguay. Then we have a river parallel to that one, also starting here in Bolivia, the Altiplano. It's the Bermejo River. it's interesting because in Portuguese the word still reminds of the word for red in Portuguese is, I think, vermelho or something like that. So it doesn't reminds of the Spanish word for red, but it was interesting to see that those words are related, the old Spanish word and the current Portuguese word for red. So it's the Red River. Then we have a river from this Northwest region. It's quite important that I do this quite accurate. I'll place it here. And it will end up here in the Paraná River. This is the Salado River. Salado made me think about salad, but then I looked it up and it's actually a name referring to salt. So it's the salt river somehow, with salt. And it makes sense actually, because in this arid high altitude area there are a lot of like salt flats, salt pans, dried out lakes and such things. Actually here we have an interesting endorheic river as well, not ending up in the ocean. It's the Dulce River, or Dulce, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It means sweet. And here we have a big salt lake actually. It's called Laguna Mar Chiquita. Córdoba province. So it's an endorheic lake. I think the largest endorheic lake in Argentina. Then we have a lot of rivers here to the west, the Andes region. And yeah, also we have another Salado River. But there are quite a lot of Salado rivers, salt rivers. I mean, by name, salt. And this one can also be referred to as Salado del Sur. Ending up here in San Borondón Bay, near Rio de la Plata. Here we have the Colorado River. actually the border between Pampas Region and Patagonia Region. It's cultural and historical regions. And here, joining Colorado River from the north, is yet another Salada River. The name Salado is used mostly for the southern part of it, because it's also called Desaguadero here. Desaguadero, which means like drain. And this northern part of it is called Bermejo, so it's a red river here as well. And there are quite a lot of rivers from the Andes joining this Desaguadero here. Atuer River, Diamante River, and Mendoza River, San Juan River, from this huge mountain range here, the Andes between Chile and Argentina. Let's continue with the rivers in Patagonia. Then we have the river Negro, and the river Neuquén, joining the Limay River here. So from here I guess the name is Negro. And the Limay River has its sources here somewhere. Also we have this famous lake here in the Argentinian Lake District, the Alps of Argentina, if you want. It's Nahuel Huapi Lake. And we have the Chubut River in Chubut province. We have the Deseado River in Santa Cruz, and we have the Chaco River and also River Santa Cruz. Some large lakes here as well. Argentino Lake. And from Deseado River, or I mean where Deseado River has its sources, we have the biggest lake in the whole country. It's shared with Chile, so it's General Carrera, it's a Chilean name, and the Buenos Aires is the Argentinian name for this lake. Just at the border here. And we have another Chaco River Pass of Chubut. And at the very south of Santa Cruz we have Rio Gallegos. Gallegos, perhaps. I forgot to tell you that this first part of what I said was Colorado River is actually called the Barrancas River. That's also defining the border between Cuyo here and Patagonia. And then it joins with the Grande River, this small river, but it's named Grande. And then here it's called Colorado. All the way to the Atlantic Ocean. So here we have the coast. Actually, we have the Beagle Channel to the very south as well. And here on the other side of this channel we have Chile, stretching a bit more to the south than Argentina does, on Tierra del Fuego. Here we have Magellan Strait. You can cross from the Atlantic to the Pacific like this, or the opposite. Or you can use the Beagle Channel. Now let's move on to some terrestrial borders using this red color for that. And I'm not sure if I will do dotted lines, dashed lines, or solid lines. I think I'll do some dotted lines here. Starting in the very south, we have the very long border to Chile in the west, in Tierra del Fuego. Well, I mean, that one is not so long, but the border, the entire border between Argentina and Chile. It's very long. And we are crossing this lake, Buenos Aires / General Carrera. This other lake, Nahuel Huapi, is located entirely in Argentina. So you can see that the border is in the middle of the Andes, close to the very highest point of this mountain range, because many of the rivers floating into Argentina to the east, you can see that they start here where we have the border, so that's probably the highest altitude. Actually, now we are drawing the border between Bolivia to the northwest and Argentina. I can actually show you where the border between Bolivia and Chile is as well. And now at the Pilcomayo River, we follow the border between Paraguay to the north and Argentina. All the way to the Paraguay River. We follow the Paraguay River all the way to Paraná River. But we don't follow Paraná River in the same direction. We take to the east and we follow Paraná upwards to the northeast until we reach Iguazu Falls and the Iguazu River. We follow this river just a little while here, and then we take south until we reach Uruguay River, and we follow this river all the way down to Rio de la Plata. And we're done. So Uruguay is here. Uruguay, and here's Brazil. And here's Paraguay to the east and Brazil. Paraguay to the west and Brazil to the east. Now, I'm not sure which color to choose for. I want to include also the borders between all the 23 provinces. There are 23 provinces in Argentina and one autonomous city, the capital city, Buenos Aires. I had been thinking about this light red color. I'm a bit worried it will be too I think it's good. So I start here in the north. So these 23 provinces, you can also divide, you can like group them together in some, and you get some geographical and historical and like ecological, I guess, regions, ecoregions somehow. So here, for example, we have the Northwest region. So we can start with the Northwest. So mountainous region. And let's see, this lake should not be included, so this salt lake here. Here we have the La Rioja province, that I guess sometimes is counted in the Northwest region and sometimes in this Cuyo region to the west. But here we will include it in the Northwest. And in the Northwest region we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 provinces. Let's start here with the northernmost of them. When I do this region by region, maybe I could actually zoom in a bit. So this is Jujuy. And next we have Salta. Salta here. So Jujuy is only has border to Salta. And of course Chile and Bolivia. Next we have a small province. Tucumán. And next we have Santiago del Estero here to the east. Catamarca to the west, and La Rioja here. And let's move on to the next region of the country, and that's Cuyo. Maybe I can mention a couple of things about the northwest. It's very dry, it's very hot, it's very climatically diverse, because the altitude differs a lot. We have the very high mountains to the west, the Altiplano in Bolivia, also called the Puna, which is a really high plateau, and the desert as well, the Atacama Desert. So it's a desert mountainous region here, very dry. But then we have the fertile valleys, or the Calchaquí valleys, with a lot of contrasts in the landscape. Because here we have both the mountains, red mountains, it's lots of red desert, red rock landforms here. And but we also have these valleys that are very green. A lot of forests, subtropical forests. So it's a big contrast between the arid red landscape and the lush green in the valleys. And then we have the yungas, the mountain forests as well. Tropical jungles, but in the mountains. And we have this part of the country is the Monte Desert. So it's a really vast desert with the arid reddish landscape. So here we have the Cuyo region, all the way to Barrancas and Colorado rivers. And it's divided in 3 provinces. We have San Luis, east of Desaguadero River. We have San Juan, north of Mendoza River. Yeah, here is also San Juan River. And here's Mendoza River. So here we have the Mendoza province, famous for the wine producing area of Argentina, so a lot of wine. It's very suitable landscape for wine production. For example, the Malbec grape grows very well here. So it's mountainous, it's arid, at least to the east, I guess. And then it's more like a Mediterranean climate in the closer to the border to Chile. Mediterranean or oceanic climate, I guess. So precipitation here than in the arid area. Now, let's move on to the northeast. We have Mesopotamia. Same name as in ancient in the Middle East. So it means between rivers in Greek. And it's a very lush area, lot of precipitation. So just like the Middle East, Mesopotamia once was, I guess. The cradle of civilization. At least Western civilization. And so yeah, it's basically the area between the Paraná River and the Uruguay River. And it's divided into 3 provinces. We have Entre Rios, which means between rivers. You can see that's basically what it is, or exactly what it is. And then we have Corrientes, which means currents. And here, this panhandle here is Misiones. And Misiones is very humid, verdant, lush. And actually, when you look at Google Maps, or if you have the chance to look from space, you can see the shape of Misiones in contrast to the landscape surrounding it. And I think that's because these rivers are natural borders, and the landscape hasn't been cultivated in the same like as much as, I mean, the Selva Misionera in Misiones hasn't been cultivated as much as the areas in Paraguay and Brazil. So even though it's the same climate zone and everything, you can see it's more green, dark green here. And to the north we have the Chaco region, and then we have the border here, straight border through Gran Chaco. Gran Chaco is a vast ecoregion stretching from Argentina like this, like here's Pampas, and then we have Chaco, and it goes into Paraguay, Mato Grosso do Sul in Brazil as well. And it's very hot region, the highest temperature of the whole continent you can find here in Chaco. It's divided in 2 provinces, and the border goes along the Bermejo River. So we have Formosa province to the north, and Chaco province to the south. And to the east of the Chaco we have something called the humid Chaco. So here it's very humid, it's a lot of rivers and wetlands. We also have the wetlands here. Maybe more of the wetlands are here in Corrientes in Mesopotamia. Something called the Ibera wetlands. It's an area of flooded forest, similar to the Pantanal area in Brazil. And it's actually the largest source of fresh water in Latin America. Marshes and some river system, I guess. But we also have a humid landscape here in the eastern part of Chaco. But most of the Chaco is called the dry Chaco or semi-arid Chaco. And we have Chaco Boreal or northern Chaco, north of Pilcomayo river, so it's in Paraguay and Brazil, I guess. And then we have Chaco Central between Pilcomayo and Bermejo rivers. And we also have Chaco Austral or southern Chaco, the landscape south of Bermejo river. So sometimes it's divided in those three parts. And in this dry Chaco region you can find, it's like a steppe, semi-arid steppe landscape with some trees. For example, the algarrobo tree, a white carob tree, like these types of shade trees. They have very extensive root systems, and they can stand a dry climate quite good, I guess. But yeah, it's dry and it's a xerophytic deciduous forest with a lot of cactus, canopy trees. In the east, at least, we have canopy trees and lianas in the wetlands. But in the west, there are more cactus and these types of plants that can live in the dry environment. Also, in Chaco and Formosa, we have some of the indigenous peoples, the groups that are very active in the country. So we have the Vichy indigenous group, mostly living here in Formosa and also Salta. And their language is related to the Matacoan language family, or the Vichy language is part of the Matacoan language family. And we have Toba indigenous group, more here to the east, to the humid Chaco. And the Toba language is part of the Guacuruan language family. So it's another indigenous language group here. Also we have in Jujuy and Salta in northwest we have a lot of Quechua speaking groups. Quechua is the same language group that the pre-Columbian Inca civilizations, for example, that they spoke. And it's spoken mostly now in Peru, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, but also in these northern parts of Argentina. We have, for example, the Kula or Kola group, and actually Kula means south in Quechua language. So it's they refer to it as the southern, the Quechua, I guess the Quechua people and language spoken in the south of the Quechua, of the whole Quechua region. So then this is referred to as the southern part. And also we have the most southern part of the most southern location where language from this language group is traditionally spoken, and that's in Santiago del Estero here. Then we have a group that I think is called Tonocote or something like that, speaking Quechua language. And the Quechua language you can see a lot of names deriving from the Quechua language. For example, Chaco. Chaco means hunting land in Quechua. And Pampas. We haven't talked so much about Pampas yet, but it means plain in Quechua. And yeah, like I said, south is Kola. And also we have Guarani speaking tribes here around. Guarani is a language spoken a lot here in Paraguay. I guess it's official language in Paraguay. But now let's move on to Pampas. This big area to the in the center of the country and a bit to the east, along the east coast here. So the southern border of Pampas is here, following the Negro River a bit, and then the Colorado River. So here we have Pampas, but actually this is the natural region for this is probably Chaco as well. It's more, I guess, the Pampas grasslands, plains are more here. So we have Buenos Aires province, and also we have Buenos Aires Autonomous City, the center of this huge city. It's its own province in a way, or it's not a province, but it doesn't belong to the Buenos Aires province. And this province is called La Pampa. This province is called Córdoba Cordoba is the second biggest city in Argentina. And this province is called Santa Fe. In Santa Fe we have Rosario, the second biggest city in Argentina. But let's talk about cities soon, not now. Because we still have some provinces left. It's the provinces of Patagonia. Patagonia is the southern part of Argentina. Or not the very most southern, because Tierra del Fuego is the southernmost region and province. But then we have this very vast cold desert region. A lot of cold desert here, the Patagonian desert. And it's divided into four provinces. So we have Neuquén here through the lake Nahuel Huapi, following the Limay River to Neuquén River, then it follows. Oh, sorry. It goes like this. Yeah, like this. It follows the Colorado and Barrancas rivers. So Neuquén River is entirely located in Neuquén. And here we have the border between Rio Negro. You remember this was Negro River, and Chubut. And here between Andes and the Gulf of San Jorge. By the way, this is called the Gulf of San Matias, where we have the border between Rio Negro and Chubut. And here we have the border between Chubut and Santa Cruz. And yeah, here's the border between Santa Cruz and Tierra del Fuego. Now, let's move on to the cities. I would like to show you the capital city of each province and some other cities. We have in Jujuy the capital city San Salvador de Jujuy. And in Salta we have the capital city Salta. And it's the 8th biggest city in the country. 500,000 is a population. Around 500,000. 5,000, a bit more. And in Tucumán we have San Miguel de Tucumán. Also quite a large city. It's actually the 5th biggest of the country. Almost 800,000 is the population. And in Catamarca we have San Fernando de Valle de Catamarca. Should be located approximately here. And in La Rioja we have the capital city La Rioja. Here somewhere. So you can see the capital cities are located like in a line like this. And I guess it's because of the landscape, like I said, it's more arid, it's like a desert here, and here it's more like these valleys, green valleys are located here probably. And Santiago del Estero is the capital city of the province with the same name. And I think it's the oldest city, or the first established city after the Spanish conquest. So it was founded in 1500 something. Was it in the 1520s? Maybe. Yeah, it was founded in 1553. I had to check. But there aren't so many colonial old buildings left there, but a lot of old churches you can find. And in Cuyo we have San Juan, the capital city of San Juan province by the river San Juan. And Mendoza, capital city of province Mendoza and by the river Mendoza. Mendoza is the 4th biggest city of the country. It has 1.1 million inhabitants. Then I think you count the whole metropolitan area. It's a big city. Between Mendoza and Santiago, the capital of Chile, we have the National Route 7 that goes from between Buenos Aires and Mendoza and Santiago in Chile. And then you pass the Andes Mountains in the Uspallata Pass here. You like across the mountain range in the pass. have San Luis, capital city of the province San Luis. I think San Juan is the 10th biggest city in the country with approximately 450,000 people. In Chaco we have Formosa province and Formosa city, capital. I guess quite close to the Paraguay capital, Asunción, also along the Paraguay River. And we have the capital of Chaco province, here where these two rivers meet. The city is called Residencia. And on the other side of the river, Paraná River, we have the capital of Corrientes. Also called Corrientes. In Misiones, along the Paraná River, we have Posadas. And in Entre Rios we have Paraná city, along or by the Paraná River. And this is where Salado River and Paraná River meet. We have the city Santa Fe. The 9th biggest city. It's a very old city, and this is where the first constitution of Argentina was written in 1853. 490,000 is the population. And it's not the largest city though in Santa Fe. I have to show you also Rosario. The third biggest city in the country with 1.4 million inhabitants, the whole metropolitan area. And this is actually the city where it's famous for the super famous football player Messi, Lionel Messi. And I heard something about this city, that it's not allowed. I think it's illegal to name your kid Messi since 2014. So yeah, otherwise probably there should be a lot of kids now called Messi from here. And we have Cordoba. Located here somewhere. It's the capital of Cordoba, and it's the second biggest city in the country. 1.5 million is the population. West of Cordoba we have actually another mountainous area. So we have the Andes and the mountainous area here, then there are like another mountain range here in the middle of the country. It's called Sierra Pampeanas, or the Sierra of Cordoba. So it's parallel to the Andes. A mountain chain that rises sharply in the landscape. Because it's like plains and then it's just a high mountain range. And this is the Laguna Mar Chiquita, the famous Andorrique salt lake. In Cordoba, I have read that they have the third biggest Oktoberfest beer festival in the whole world. I guess the two first is probably in Germany. But yeah, it's a lot. They have a big German population here, German immigrants. And we move to the south. We have in La Pampa, the capital city, Santa Rosa. And we have Buenos Aires province with the capital city La Plata, close to Buenos Aires, also by the Rio de la Plata. So it's called La Plata, and this city was built in just actually in the middle of nowhere, I guess. In 1880. So it's a very new, quite new city. So it's not like it was planned from the beginning and it has like 90 degrees or diagonal pattern in the streets. So if you look at it on Google Maps from above, you can see this very even pattern in how the city was planned, system of roads. It's also called the city of diagonals. And here we have Buenos Aires. And the city of Buenos Aires is just a small part of the metropolitan area. Buenos Aires. So the metropolitan area is also located in the Buenos Aires province. And the metropolitan area, Buenos Aires, has 13.6 million people living there. So it's a really huge city, second biggest in South America, after Sao Paulo, I guess. There are some more cities I'd like to show you in Buenos Aires province. We have Mar del Plata. It's the seventh biggest city in the country, 550,000 population. And we also have Bahia Blanca. Here. Here I guess there are a lot of beaches. Sambarombon Bay. Patagonia, we have city Neuquén, here where the rivers meet, Neuquén and Limay. Capital city of Neuquén. And we have the city Viedma. Close to where the Negro River ends up in the Atlantic. And very close to Buenos Aires province actually, but just by the river here. So Viedma, the capital of Rio Negro province. We have Rawson, capital city of Chubut, by the Chubut River and the Atlantic coast. And we have Rio Gallegos, by the Gallegos River. Close to the Atlantic coast, the capital city of Santa Cruz. And we have Ushuaia, far to the south, by the Beagle Channel, the capital city of Tierra del Fuego. Now, let's talk about some nature features. It's been so interesting to read about the fantastic, diverse nature landscapes you can find in Argentina. So I just want to point out and mention some of them. Here in the northwest, in Jujuy, we have something in the landscape called the Cerro de los Siete Colores, mountain peak, the mountain of 7 colors. So it really looks like it's stripes with different colors on the mountain. So it's here, the middle of Jujuy. And on the border between Jujuy and Salta, we have the Salinas Grandes of Jujuy and Salta. There are more Salinas Grandes in Argentina. But these are famous for its vast white desert. And along the Pilcomayo River, in the wetlands here to the east, we have the Pilcomayo National Park. In Formosa. I already did mention the Ibera wetlands. It's a national park actually as well, quite big. This very special landscape with a lot of water, swamps in the ground. And of course, very famous Iguazu Falls here, close to the border between Paraguay, Brazil and Argentina. beautiful views, I guess, these waterfalls. And if we go back to the northwest, found a lot of interesting features here, actually. I'm really fascinated by the red landscape, the mountainous area and the Monte Desert, the red soil. There are some fantastic rocks, landforms formed by erosion. For example, in San Juan, close to La Rioja, actually, here. We have the Moon Valley, Valle de la Luna. So it's a landscape reminding of the moon. It's a nickname because the actual name is Ishigualasto Provincial Park. And in La Rioja we have Talampaya National Park. So yeah, they're basically on each side of the border here. Talampaya National Park. Here we have the dry bed of the Talampaya River. So it's like totally flat, and then there are huge, super steep slopes, or like a wall of red mountain. And they also found that there were dinosaurs there a long time ago, of course. So, but it's one type of dinosaur called Riojasaurus found there. So you can really imagine how the dinosaurs walked in these landscapes. Maybe they look different, the landscapes then, but you can see this, like, it's so upscaled, everything. The flat and the mountain wall. And in Valle de la Luna, there were fantastic landforms, like sculptures. I guess I heard some of them were called like the mushroom, looking like a mushroom. And one was called the Sphinx, because it looks actually like the Sphinx in Egypt, but it's made totally from nature, from erosion. Really cool. And yeah, they're really like filled with sculptures, this red landscape and rocks, building super interesting, fantastic sculptures. And yeah, in the border between La Rioja, Catamarca, Santiago del Estero and Córdoba, here in the Sierra Pampeanas area, we have also a very big salina, or salt pan, a dry lake. Salinas Grandes, same name as the one I mentioned here in Jujuy and Salta, but we also have the Salina Grande here. And then we have also some really interesting features in, yeah, of course we have the highest mountain. We have the highest mountain peak in the whole country, I just have to mention that, of course. It's located in Cuyo, and it's close to the border between San Juan and Mendoza. But I think it's on the, I'll put it here on the San Juan side. Also very close to the border to Chile. So here we have Mount Aconcagua, 6,961 meters high, or 22,800 feet. And it's the tallest mountain peak outside Asia, actually. So, yeah, I guess in Himalayas we have taller mountain peaks, higher peaks, but here it's one really tall. And we move to the south. To Patagonia. Then we have the Lake District. Basically here in Rio Negro and Neuquén, or more in Neuquén, I guess, but Rio Negro province also has this part of the Andes and the area around this lake. But there are some beautiful lakes here, and I guess it can be some really beautiful views here with blue lakes, volcanoes, forests, and alpine villages. So it's probably reminds a bit of the Alps, Switzerland. So again we have the dry area to the east, the Monte Desert, and then if we move more to the west towards Chile, we have more precipitation and more green areas. But for example, we have the Copahue volcano here. And we have a town called Bariloche, or San Carlos de Bariloche. The southern side of this lake. A little town or village that I guess is quite beautiful, alpine landscape. If we move further south to Chubut, we have a national park here. That is called Los Alerces National Park. And here you can find a lot of alerce trees. It's very large trees, reminding a bit of sequoia trees in North America. So it's some kind of redwood trees. So that seemed quite interesting, I think. In Chubut also we have some Welsh colonies. It was colonized in the 1860s, I think. And still today there are some villages and towns where people speak Welsh. And like, I guess Welsh culture is big here, and I don't know, it's the Patagonian Welsh community of Argentina. I guess it's like a dialect now. It doesn't sound like the Welsh, but it's the Welsh language in a very unique dialect. And then we have some villages here: Puerto Madryn, Rawson, the capital, but also Trelew, Gaiman, and Dolavon. Along the Chubut River, and also to the west of the country and the province we have Esquel and Trevelin. Welsh-speaking areas, or areas where Welsh can be heard, I guess. And here we have the Valdes Peninsula, where you can see whales outside the coast. And also we have Punta Tombo, south of Rawson here, where you can find penguins, actually. Here in Santa Cruz we have the national park to the very south, Los Glaciares. Yeah, here's a mountain peak, famous mountain called Mount Fitzroy. And here, south of Fitzroy, we have Los Glaciares. So here's the glacier part of the Andes. It's time to zoom out again so you can see the entire country. If I turn it like this, you can see the entire country. But let's look at it in this direction. See if I have some more important facts that I would like to include. I didn't speak so much about the wild animals. For example, in the Pampas region. By the way, the Pampas are like fertile, really fertile lowlands. It's in the humid subtropical zone, so the precipitation is evenly distributed over the year. And the soil is perfect for farming, agriculture, ranching. And here you can find deer, fox, and also the rhea, or nandu bird, very large bird that can't fly, I guess. And this is the most humid part of Pampas, called the humid Pampas. And surrounding it we have the dry Pampas to the west here, east of the Salado River. Dry Pampas is more, it's a bit more dry. Not as much precipitation, bit different soil, I guess. Here you can find the Calden tree, quite similar to the Algarrobo tree I mentioned before in the Chaco. But here it's called the Calden tree. Also shade tree on the grass. Plains. Also we have a region called Espinal around Pampas, like this, surrounding Pampas. Espinal is a dry, thorny forest or savanna or steppe. And it's been modified a lot by ranching in large scale, but it used to be more forested area before. In Mesopotamia you can find different types of animals. You can find more rainforest types like caiman, toucan, monkeys. And in the mountainous regions, all the way from the northwest and down to Patagonia, you can find the guanaco. And also the llama here, close to Bolivia. I guess llama is bigger than guanaco, and it's the domesticated version of it. And yeah, I talked a bit about the indigenous groups here to the north. Of course, before the Spanish conquest, the Spanish arrived here in the 16th century. There were more indigenous people living here, and I've heard that the Salado River for a long time was the border, the southern border of the Spanish colony. So south of Salado River was the land of indigenous people until the conquest of the desert in the late 19th century. That was a military campaign that was, of course, devastating to the indigenous groups. But for example, we have a group here in Patagonia, in parts of Patagonia, also in Chile, the Mapuche. Mapuche group speaking Mapuche language. So basically here this language is still spoken. Western Chubut, but also Rio Negro and La Pampa here. And you also have the Tehuelche group and Tehuelche language. And the Tehuelche language was part of a language group called Chonan languages. So for example, there were another language called the Selknam, spoken here, the eastern part of Tierra del Fuego. And Tehuelche was probably spoken on big areas of Patagonia. This language, unfortunately, I'm very sad, the Selknam language became extinct in 1970s when the last person who knew this language passed away. With the Tehuelche language, I read that the last person who spoke this language, who had, known it for all her life, it was a woman called Dora Manchado, the last speaker. But the Tehuelche language has been documented a lot and revitalized by groups that identify themselves as Tehuelche. So it's not a dead language. It's still being learned and spoken. By Tehuelche descendants. And also there are some interesting sites, archaeological sites from long before the Spanish conquest. For example, I think I will point some of those out as well. We have, for example, the Pucara de Tilcara in Jujuy. Like ruins from a very old civilization. I think it was probably built in the 12th century by the Umaguaca tribe. It was some kind of fortification. Then we have also the ruins of Quilmes in Tucumán. Built in 850 AD. They look really cool on the pictures I've seen. Ruin of like a city. Can also show you a famous national road going through the whole country. It's National Route 40. So it starts. I'll zoom in again. So it starts here at Punta Loyola, at the coast here, outside or east of Rio Gallegos, by the Atlantic coast. And then it follows the mountain range like this. Through Santa Cruz, through Chubut, close to this western Welsh settlement, close to Nahuel Huapi Lake, Bariloche, and it goes like this, through Neuquén, close to Copahue volcano, and through Mendoza, city, through San Juan city, through the red landscape Quechua, through Catamarca, through Salta, to Jujuy, all the way up to La Quiaza, I think it's called. The border to Bolivia and Salta again. So that's National Route 40. Now the last thing I'd like to add to this map is some writing. And I think I'll write the names of the geographical regions, not every state and every city, or I mean not every province and every city. So let's start here. Actually, I have to look up the Spanish word for northwest. I don't want to write it in English. So it's Noroeste Argentina, or Argentino. So it's these provinces, so I'll write it here. Noroeste. And here we have Chaco. And here we have Mesopotamia. Here we have Pampas. Here we have Cuyo. Actually, I think this part of the ocean closest to Argentina is referred to as Mar Argentino. And then we have Oceano Atlántico. Or Oceano Atlántico Sur, Southern Atlantic Ocean. So I think I'll just write Mar Argentino here. I'll also add Andes. The mountain range to the west. And let's again turn it like this. So you can see the whole thing. I hope you found this video relaxing and interesting. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And take care. Sleep well. And stay safe. See you soon.